U.S. will remove Biden's $320 million Gaza Pier because it's sinking. Disaster for president's floating aid dock as it's taken from beach for repairs after just 2 weeks. So it ripped apart, became unmoored, as they described it in the press, and started floating away. This is the pier that the Biden administration wanted to build in Gaza, which is the invasion, and it failed. So what we were talking about in the previous segment is basically you have these big jets, and people build them, engineers build them. There is a decay in capability in meritocracy at a fundamental level in this country that is affecting everything. It's why the Democrats are probably losing their minds and their system is falling apart. It's why everything seems to be getting crazier. And now and I don't know if it's a causation or correlation with DEI. It may be the causation of DEI, or it could be inverted. I don't know. But now you got the Biden administration sending out the army to build this big pier, and they screwed the whole thing up, and now it's sinking, so they're just taking it apart.
$1 trillion military-industrial complex can't build a pier or dock in Gaza. I mean, it's absolutely pathetic. I mean, all the money, the resources. I mean, it just goes to show that, we're a laughingstock. We've become a laughingstock. We're this declining empire, and you can't get a better visual than that. This dock just drifting away into the Mediterranean.
Wow.
To illustrate it. It's absolutely pathetic.
I mean, I'm so glad we spent $320 million on this instead of, a bridge in America,
right.
Something to fund a state, an educational effort, maybe something to, I don't know, encourage people to take up trade skills and potentially build better docks. Like, it's so ridiculous to me, and it's literally American money being washed away, and it doesn't benefit the American people.
It's absolute. Look at this photograph. It's just absolutely insane what they were building in Gaza. It's a beachhead to drop military gear and equipment.
And Lloyd Austin's like, no, we're not putting boots on the ground.
There's literally, look at the piers connected to the beach of Gaza. There's American boots on the ground, and now the whole thing broke. And oh man.
And who will be held accountable? I mean, who's the guy?
No one.
Yeah, exactly.
No one at all. There is no accountability at all. Well, I'm wondering, why is it that the U.S. military? Because the U.S. military usually achieves the goals that they set out, right? The political side of things is bad, but when you set the military to do stuff, they usually get things done. Historically, they've done some pretty damn incredible things, like the Berlin airlift. You're they look into that. It's pretty amazing what the military is capable of. I'm not sure who planned this, how they blew it, because I mean, they literally have to build a whole city when they invade a country. They build a whole city with all the stuff that you need to live, and this pier shouldn't be beyond the capability. So how this got blown, I don't know. It was a terrible idea in the first place, clearly, but
a lot of graft. I mean, look, even places like Iraq, all these, conflict zones we've been part of, there's tons of, it was a black hole. Money goes in, no results come out. They build a school, it gets blown up. They build it again, it gets blown up. It's, we always hear stories about this, with the contractors and all the people.
Yeah, but that's not how the
off.
Military, when it's U.S. military, usually, like I said, they historically, they're good at achieving goals.
Kinetically, they bomb X, kill Y, absolutely.
Yeah,
this kind of stuff, I could see, that the graft and the grifting and the corruption has started to seep in. And again, these are signs of a declining society, lower trust. This is when you start to get this third world style corruption and grifting and graft off the system. Everyone's pocketing and no one's actually doing their job. It's the end stage of a country.
Agreed. It
wow,
is
Grimcast tonight.
Yeah, it is Graftcast. It is the failure to transfer knowledge from one generation to the next. And maybe it was intentional. Maybe it was an attack. Maybe
demoralization.
Yuri Bezmenov.
Yeah,
he was completely correct when they targeted a generation, cut them off from the previous, and now we are unable to operate these machines.
And he said I think it was the 80s when that famous interview was done, he said, you guys are already past these stages. We didn't realize it then. It took a while for us to see the ramifications, but it's been...
You know what's really wild is I saw that commercial for the new iPad. Have you guys seen it? Where everyone got offended because the big gigantic machine destroys everything. Yep. And there was this great meme. It was like the original Apple Macintosh commercial is the woman running in bright colors in 1984 and throwing the sledgehammer, and the theme was bright humanity destroying the monotonous controlled regime. And then
1984, right? It was styled like that.
She's got orange shorts and she throws the sledgehammer. And then it was now 2024 it's totally inverted, and the industrial, cold, monotonous machine destroys all of the vibrant life to create this tablet. But anyway, my point was, when they show the tablet, and it's like the woman's hand holding it up, and it's super thin, I thought, you know what's really crazy about that? If you gave that tablet to some, like, queen in the year 1350, yeah, she'd call it a magic mirror. And it would be like, it's got like the face detection activation. So you walk up to it and it just turns on. It's got voice control activation. So you can say, tell me this, tell me that. And then if you were to crack it open and look what was inside, what would you find? Runes and glyphs. You would find stones inside with strange carvings and strange lines. And I'm just like, isn't that amazing that if today we fail to transfer knowledge of how these things operate, within a certain amount of time, someone who comes upon a helicopter will just see a giant rock and not even understand what it's supposed to do.
Well, that's what's happened throughout history. We don't even understand, ancient civilizations fully. We think we do. We call this a tomb. We call this, a palace. But we have no idea what they were doing, what they actually were innovating. But I think you're bringing on a point about the institutional knowledge. I think I saw an article that came out that said like 30% of the web, or like a lot of websites over the last 5-10 years, they're gone completely deleted. We didn't even preserve them. It's like the Library of Alexandria in real time. We're just losing knowledge. Maybe it's not the most valuable knowledge, but it's still knowledge nonetheless. It's gone. And then in addition to the knowledge, you were highlighting the difference between these two commercials. Look at, you can look up the Home Alone house, the difference after the renovation. And I think someone made a joke online. It was like the antidepressant version of the house. You go back to the 90s. It was this warm, cozy house on the inside full of children and family. And it really just sort of spoke to the times. And now it's this white, sterile, just brutalist, minimalist, just soulless interior, and it just really shows the transition of our country from where it was in the 90s.
Oh wow!
I think they used to have like the red wallpaper. Yeah. I mean, I find it really interesting that as we have become a more online culture, and we have the rise of sort of the lifestyle influencer, that also we take out any kind of characteristics. The rise of minimalism, meaning just like white, beige, not a lot of decorations, is almost like taking away any kind of personality.
Depth of detail, ornamentation, everything's utilitarian. Why would we put a flourish here? Why would we put a piece of paneling here? It doesn't serve any purpose. Everything should just be white slab.
You don't want anyone to think anything of it. It's like it won't offend anyone. That's what it ultimately came as part of our interior design.
And it's hard to quantify these things, because it's like, kind of everything's run by technocrats. Wow. So, what's the value of that wallpaper? How do you quantify how it makes you feel?
We got to zoom in. It's low resolution, but you can see the chairs, the red, the wallpaper, the carpet, and then today it's that.
It's gray and like minimal and nothing. I mean, it's still a beautiful home, but it does lack all personality, right? And I think that is sort of true for so many parts of American culture right now. They're trying so hard not to be offensive or to blend in and be palatable to everyone that there's sort of no defining characteristic.
We got to go back. We got to turn the clock back to the 90s when we used to put colors on the walls and they were families. And
I've actually seen a huge rise in wallpaper. Wallpapering is becoming extremely popular, and I almost think it's a response to this very impersonal, minimalist, beige culture.
We're going to redo the whole IRL studio with that wallpaper.
I've got ideas. There's a lot of really fun wallpaper
the wainscoting and some wallpaper.
Okay, listen. I know that I'm going to be the dissenting voice here. The white looks way better than the wallpaper. I'm sorry.
It's not that I disagree with you. It's just that like this house could be anywhere in the country, right?
Sure.
The wallpaper is in some ways more personal.
No, I disagree with you, Phil. It is the communist blockhousing-ification of American society.
There is nothing communist looking about that.
The big thing is,
are you kidding, dude?
Yeah, I'm
bro.
100% serious.
Have you driven down the street in like post-Soviet countries?
Yeah, I mean, I've been to Russia a couple times.
And I'm not comparing the level of luxury. I'm comparing the sterilization of it. The brutalist. You don't get anything pretty. You don't get any design. You get a gray cube. Go live in your cube.
Yeah.
So the only thing that has personality at the house are the historic elements, right? The banister, the woodworking, the wainscotings that they left. In one more homeowner, they will take that out and replace it.
That's a very good point.
And this is what I find. I saw this video.
Wainscoting, isn't that the half thing called wainscoting? I mean, that alone right there is something that adds flourish. Just like you're
Right.
saying, you're talking about the
But
band.
that's
But
what
one
she's saying.
owner will
Right.
take that out. They'll be
This
like,
is a
this is
progression.
too dated. I don't like it.
And if this wasn't a famous house, it probably already would have been gutted. They
Right.
kept some of these elements because that's the resale value.
And I think the
Yeah.
other thing, like I saw this video. I'm sure none of the men in this room saw this, but I saw it on my social media because my algorithm's more feminine than yours. Of this girl, she's in her late 20s, early 30s. She's like, we bought a house, so exciting. It's probably built in the early 2000s. It looks beautiful. And she's like, yeah, we're going to put in luxury LVP flooring, luxury plank vinyl all over the floor. They have beautiful hardwood floors. And everyone in the comments is like, why would you do this? She's like, yeah, it's just, I don't know. The other stuff is easier to maintain. I don't like it. And it's very weird to me, right?
Yeah. Look
But
at-
it
look
is
at this.
becoming more industrial and basic and
all
everything's the same.
all the home renovation shows, they go into these places. It's like a beautiful 1920s, 1930s home. They got this hardwood floor. It's covered by the 1970s carpet or the vinyl from the early 2000s. They just kill all the character. And now all these shows are pulling back the layers of the onion to
and
bring
it
back
makes
the beauty.
all houses end up looking kind of the same.
Correct.
It's time to it's time to do that idea I had a while ago. It's time to execute. And the idea was to get like a small hotel, probably not a hotel, but probably a 4-unit apartment building, and we take each of like the two, like maybe like 4 2-bedroom apartments, and you convert them into eras. So there's a 90s apartment, an 80s, a 70s, a 60s. Maybe we do 5 and do a 50s. And when you go into the 90s one, it looks like a house from the 90s. When you turn the TV on, it's got the UHF and the VHF, and it can play only from a specific period. Like we choose a week in the 90s, we get the actual television archives, and we play them in real time. And then you can go back, at least temporarily, and you can go to the 80s and the 70s and the 60s. You turn the TV on, it's the news in the 60s, and you're watching. Then you can change the channel, and it's real time.
I love it.
Over the weekend. My only concern, and I mean this seriously, because we talked about this a couple of years ago, is how you deal with the suicides.
Oh, for people going to this place?
Dude, there's going to be a guy right now who's a Gen Xer who got married in 1998 or whatever to his high school sweetheart who divorced him 10 years later, and he's going to be crying, and he's going to find this place. He's going to go back, and he's going to open the fridge and see the 1990s Pizza Hut box and the advertisements. He's going to turn the TV on. He's going to start crying, and then we're going to have a problem.
Cost of doing business.
But I got the idea because there was a Blockbuster video that converted a part of their lobby into a one-night only Airbnb that was the 90s.
Well, you're bringing up nostalgia porn. I mean, that's when you know, I hate to be so like a Debbie Downer, but we have so much nostalgia, particularly on like our generation, millennials, even Zoomers, for a time past. And there's an entire industry, a cottage industry being developed to serve the needs of that nostalgia because people are trying to yearn to go back. You didn't really see this, in these decades you're describing. It's very much a modern phenomenon.
But you drive around, you go to France, you go to Spain, and you look at this old architecture and how amazing it was. I think it was Seamus who was saying the reason for it is because that was media. How you conveyed a great work and a symbol was in the structures you were building that people would see. Now it's something else. It's videos, it's paintings, it's tweets or whatever. So people don't really care anymore. But you look at modern developments. Look, I got to be honest. I rode my bike down the street. I skated today. I got all sweaty. I said, I'm going to go on my bike and just go 30 back and forth and just cool down. And they've got this housing development, and all of the houses are identical.
Yeah.
And that's, of course, if you go to the south side of Chicago, the exact same thing. And I'm sure it's the same in most urban developments. All these identical houses. At the very least, when I was a kid, all the houses were different colors. It's like, my house was like reddish or whatever, and the house was white next to me, and the house to the other side, mine was more like beige orange, and the house to the left was red, and the house to the right was white, and then there was wallpaper, and everyone kind of made it their own space. Now you go and look at the new developments, and they're like, we're putting in a new library, and it's a white cube.
Yep.
With just aluminum and white.
Thanks for watching this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to check out the live show Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. on this channel. Subscribe, and we'll see you all there.